Continuing from the previous chapter, Zhuo Yifan felt quite satisfied upon arriving at the dilapidated slums, where he saw Uera practicing her swordsmanship on the rooftop. Taking advantage of the moment, Zhuo Yifan teased her a bit. After pondering for a moment, Uera suddenly revealed a scornful, mocking smile and said, "How ridiculous. When you first got here, you claimed you would become an elite disciple. But in the end, you couldn't even enter the main hall and were thrown into the labor office. Such bragging is really laughable." "Haha." Zhuo Yifan jokingly replied, "Hey, how do you know I didn't step into the main hall? Could it be that you heard my story and care about me?" However, as soon as she heard these words, Uera's face turned red. She angrily retorted, "Nonsense. Who cares about you? It's just that your misdeeds have spread throughout the sect. After joining the sect, even the sect master and elders didn't want to see you. You were then sent to the labor office. Since ancient times, you've truly ranked first in disgrace." Zhuo Yifan nodded and said, "So that's how it is." Zhuo Yifan could now completely confirm that someone had their eyes on him the moment he joined the sect. Otherwise, there was no way a regular disciple like him could become so well known in such a short time. However, when Zhuo Yifan was thrown into the labor office, those prying eyes seemed to disappear. Otherwise, considering that the labor office was a place of mixed fortune and danger, where lives were insignificant, it would have been the perfect time to make a move against him. Yet, many days had passed without anyone showing any intention to attack Zhuo Yifan. Understanding this point, Zhuo Yifan looked at Uera and smiled, "Miss Uera, apart from you thinking about me these days, has senior sister Mayer thought about me as well?" "Forget it, senior sister would never think about you," Uera was about to reply but then became sluggish. Her face suddenly turned red, realizing that she had fallen into Zhuo Yifan trap again. She angrily shouted, I don't miss you at all." Elder Yuan, who was nearby, couldn't help but laugh out loud at this scene. He gently shook his head, thinking to himself, "This Zhuo Yifan is indeed as rumored, cunning and sly. It's even more outrageous how he deals with an innocent young girl." However, Elder Yuan's laughter only made Uera even more embarrassed. She gritted her teeth furiously, her eyes flashing with a murderous gleam, and shouted, "Old man, who gave you permission to laugh at me?" With that, she swung her sword towards the two of them. Elder Yuan was startled and quickly hid behind Zhuo Yifan. As for Zhuo Yifan, he remained standing there, smiling mockingly without a trace of fear. Just as the sword was about to strike, Zhuo Yifan quickly grabbed Uera's wrist in the blink of an eye. Uera cried out in pain as her wrist was seized, and the sword fell to the ground with a clang. Frowning slightly, Zhuo Yifan quickly released her wrist and asked suspiciously, "My strength couldn't have hurt you. Why do you seem to be in such pain? Could it be that your previous injury hasn't healed yet?" Uera let out a light snort, revealing a defiant expression. "It's none of your business." At that moment, a voice rang out in the night, "How dare you? Who is bullying my little sister?" A sound like tearing through the air accompanied by a bone-chilling wind swept past. A figure with a graceful, curvaceous body suddenly appeared in front of everyone, shielding Uera. Zhuo Yifan looked up and saw that the person was none other than Roasa Uling. Startled, Zhuo Yifan blurted out, "She's your sister?" In an instant, a murderous aura emanated from Uling, filling the air with intense hostility. She spoke in a vicious tone, "You little brat, no matter what background you have, daring to bully my sister, I will grind your bones to dust, leaving you with no place to be buried." Hearing this, Zhuo Yifan just let out a cold laugh, maintaining his carefree demeanor, and replied with disdain in his eyes, "Humph, in this world, you're not the first to threaten Zhuo Yifan like this, and you certainly won't be the last. Do you think I'm scared?" Yuling's eyes turned furious at Zhuo Yifan provocative words. She clenched her fists tightly, but her initial intent to attack wavered. She found it hard to believe that someone at the 7th layer of the profound heaven realm would dare to openly provoke a 3rd layer radiant stage expert like her. There had to be something more to it. The only possible explanation was that he had an incredibly powerful backing that didn't even regard her as a threat. If she killed this brat now, it would be easy, but it would likely bring great trouble in the future. She might not care about herself, but what about her sister? Thinking this through, Uera's previously arrogant and fierce expression began to shift towards fear and discouragement. Elder Yuan, seemingly reading her thoughts, stepped forward to mediate and said, "Uling, it's all a misunderstanding. Just now, Miss Uera was practicing her swordsmanship up there, and we happened to pass by. We were just teasing each other a bit, nothing too serious." Zhuo Yifan was actually applauding and complimenting Miss Uera for her beautiful sword dance. "Isn't that right, Miss Uera?" Elder Yuan finished speaking and looked at Uera with a pleading expression in his eyes. Uling softened her tone and asked, "Is that true, Uera?" she thought for a moment. If this was merely a misunderstanding, she didn't want to cause trouble. But if this brat truly dared to bully her sister, then no matter the cost, even if he had powerful backing, she would make sure he paid dearly. Seeing the tense situation, Uera glanced briefly at Zhuo Yifan and then nodded slightly. She admitted honestly, they didn't do anything. I was the one who attacked first. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Yifan secretly admired her. Despite her stubborn and difficult personality, she wasn't a bad person. Her willingness to take responsibility for her actions was quite commendable. However, Yu Ling, ignoring any logic, said, even if my sister made the first move, it must have been because you were oppressed. Brat, this isn't over yet. Just wait. With that, Yu Ling grabbed Uera's wrist and led her away. As they walked, she instructed, Uera, remember this, there is no one good in this sect. Don't interact with him anymore. If you have any issues, come to me or senior sister Mayor. Understood? Zhuo Yifan stood there, speechless, watching the two sisters slowly disappear. Unable to vent his frustration, he laughed bitterly, haha, can you believe that? She attacked me first, yet I'm the one being threatened. Just wait. Elder Yuan let out a sigh of relief, as if narrowly escaping disaster, and said, ah, the world is full of injustice and grudges without any logic. It's all about power. Yu Ling spared you because she couldn't gauge the extent of your backing and didn't dare to push it. But be cautious, she might resort to underhanded tactics in the future. Hearing this, Zhuo Yifan pondered for a moment and then shook his head with a wry smile. How could he forget? This was the demonic sect. No one needed a reason to act, unlike the outside world, where even if you hated someone, you needed to find a reason first. Zhuo Yifan then contemplated for a while, furrowing his brow, and said thoughtfully, ah, right, Elder Yuan. This time, Yu Ling is gathering cultivation resources for Miss Uera, isn't she? Elder Yuan nodded with certainty and replied, that's right. Despite her ruthless reputation as Rakshasa, Yu Ling deeply loves her younger sister. Speaking of which, Yu Ling's punishment to the labor office was also because of her sister. With her sister's talent, she would have been expelled long ago. Yu Ling sneaked into the alchemy room and stole a 7th-grade elixir to transform her sister's physique, which resulted in Uera as we see her today but also ruined Yu Ling's future. Pausing to take a deep breath, Zhuo Yifan nodded in admiration and said, she treats her sister exceptionally well, disregarding her own future. But this time, her good intentions may lead to bad outcomes. Elder Yuan's eyes widened in surprise and he asked, please elaborate. After a moment of contemplation, Zhuo Yifan spoke calmly, I heard that Uera is practicing the dark demon sword technique. The crucial aspect of this martial art lies in the words dark and demon, which involves devouring the sinister energy of countless vengeful spirits to enhance the power of the sword technique, causing the user's demonic nature to fully erupt. This results in an overwhelming increase in power, enabling them to kill gods and Buddhas alike. However, Elder Yuan eagerly asked, however what? Zhuo Yifan continued, however, Uera's injury hasn't healed yet. If she practices the demonic sword technique in this condition, her demonic nature will surge uncontrollably, leading her body to collapse. Yu Ling will undoubtedly regret it immensely. The incident with her injured arm should have healed within a day or two after using the medicine, but why hasn't it healed yet? Elder Yuan stood there, stroking his beard, his eyes gleaming with deep contemplation. He asked, why didn't you mention this to them earlier? Zhuo Yifan shrugged and replied, mention what? They were just threatening to kill me, why would I explain anything to them? Elder Yuan couldn't help but burst into laughter, ha ha ha, and here I thought you were concerned for them, given your lengthy analysis. With a light snort, Zhuo Yifan pondered for a moment and then said, concerned for them? Those two troublesome girls have nothing to do with me. Why should I care about them? I'm not some infatuated fool. I just find this place a bit peculiar. I'm afraid that even the last peaceful spot in our sect won't remain calm for much longer.